Oh, look, you can see me hanging on the tree.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome everybody who's come in, by the way. If you want to say hello, you can always start your video and unmute your microphone. But we're just waiting for some folks to come in.
Yes. Welcome.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey. Let's see. This is like me being super quiet and calm before I have to talk for an hour. So quite normal stuff. Cool. Hey.
Hi, welcome.
Hey, welcome. We're just waiting for some folks to show up, so we're gonna keep it open and a little bit quiet for a couple more minutes. Nice. Hey, I can see you there. Yeah, and you're muted. Everybody's always muted at the beginning. Hurrah! And we'll probably wait until about 5 after to make sure folks get a chance to come in. Oh, cool. We got the group chat going on.
Yeah.
Hugo says you're cooking at the same time. Nice. What's for dinner? That's what I want to know. I think Uncle there, you're not you don't seem to be muted, but I don't think we're hearing any of your audio. And if your audio settings don't end up working, there's always the text chat. Okay, we can see you connecting to audio then.
Yeah.
Hey there, Asame. Nice to see your nice faces, everybody, or those of you who have your faces on. And as I said, we're going to give it a couple more minutes just to let people find their way into the room, and then we'll get started. So get yourself a beverage of whatever kind you like, and play with your background settings. And nice, I see a glass of wine over there.
Yeah, actually.
Are we supposed to talk? You're absolutely welcome to just like chat and have a conversation. This basically is like the idea behind this is that like if we get 80 people in here, it's going to be a little bit crazy and impossible. But if there's like a dozen or 20 or something like that, then we can have a really nice conversation and we just say how we're doing. And I'll go over really soon what we're going to do, kind of what the sort of the schedule is going to be. but absolutely, please say hi and just let us know uh, how is your self isolation going? What have you been doing today? Anybody want to say hello? Please go ahead and unmute and say something.
We had to move, so
Who had to move?
yeah, I later should.
Oh no.
Yeah, but now we've moved, so now we can start again.
Were you in Helsinki or?
We're in Järvenpää now, so
Oh,
out,
okay.
out of Helsinki, but this is like the biggest corona zone of Keski-Uusimaa, so
Oh,
yeah, so far so good though. It's okay. Yeah.
Great. Yes.
How are you, Jamie? Are you fully recovered?
I am actually. Thank you very much for asking. I would say I'm still the thing that happened now is that like I was sick for like um I was sick for like 3 weeks,
Yeah.
which means uh, at the end of the 3 weeks, like my asthma is acting up like crazy, and and I also like I still have a cough, which makes people nervous, but it's like there's nothing in it. It's just my lungs being
Yeah.
irritated. But then the other thing that's kind of bonkers is that just from being in sick at home for 3 weeks, I am so out of shape. So
Yeah,
like
that'll do it.
I turned on like YouTube on my TV and did like a 15 minutes of like Tabata workout yesterday, and I nearly died. Like
Oh,
I
no.
was like, I can't do these anymore. This is terrible. So
Mm.
I'm gonna try. Hey, Sami. Sami says, thanks for setting up, and that's really, really cool. You're very, very welcome. Um, and it's about 5 after, so I guess we could kind of get started and and see who is if more people come in. That's very, very cool. But other than that,
Yeah.
so welcome everybody to Slayground. I'm kind of doing a sort of a new thing for me, at least on Zoom, because uh, I haven't done something like this before. So we'll see if we have technical hiccups and how this thing all goes. Nice. Helena's just shown it up with the background, Golden Gate Bridge, very lovely. Um, and so what happened was, of course, that we had some funding um, from the city and from Katolisti to do a show that was actually going to be part of the Katolisti's program for a week against racism. And I was curating a queer drag-esque spoken word show that was going to be live. And of course, it got canceled. But of course, because we already had the funding, uh, it seemed like a terrible idea to just cancel the show and then, not pay any artists. So
Record.
so the idea was then that we could somehow figure out how to move the show online and do it sort of like that in a kind of work from home sort of way, which has proved to be pretty interesting. Then we had to move the show a number of times because I got sick, and then I underestimated how sick I was, and then I underestimated how much technical stuff I had to learn in order to do this. So yeah, but thank you all for showing up and coming to see some stuff. And of course, really at any time, if you want to say something about one of the shows that you see, if you want to turn on your video, it's like it's really, really nice to hear your voices, to just hear you say hi, and to have a kind of a chat and a conversation. Otherwise, it's just kind of me talking. And another thing that I will let you know and try to remind throughout the time is that this Zoom session is going to be recorded uh, to put on as just a documentation. So it's like just the video session gets recorded to a hard drive, and that's for the Catalysti documentation, which is important as an arts organization and in general. Like when you're doing arts funding, then you also have to document everything. Isn't that right, Paola?
Yeah, and welcome on behalf of Catalyst. This is so exciting. Looking forward.
It's cool. Actually, first, Paola, can you do you mind saying a couple words about what Catalysti is as an organization?
Yes, yes. It's an association of transcultural artists that was founded in 2013, and there are like about 160 artists belong to it now. And well, it is for, yes, transcultural in many ways. So then there are also some artists of Finnish origin with different backgrounds, and then this evening for the Week Against Racism we've been doing every year since the foundation. It's pretty important for us, and we are very happy to have Jamie and your community here tonight.
Cool. Thank you so much. Well, without any much further ado, I think maybe should we start out with one of the works? So what we did is we asked the artists, would you be interested in just giving us kind of like a work from home video? And I knew, of course, that the ask was very absurd in a way. We're live artists. We thrive on the energy from the crowd. We don't necessarily even practice at home in our rooms without having some people to see what we're doing. So it's a totally different thing. But I think you're going to really enjoy some of the videos that we've got. They range in, like, some are potato quality and some are like fancy potato, uh, and I mean it's really lovely to see kind of how in a way, like how I don't want to say like authentic necessarily, because that's like a little bit of a loaded word, but just to say that they are they're really unique to this kind of moment in time, um, because of what we've had to put together and why. So I think they are super interesting. So in the chat, um, I'm going to put some Instagram links of some of the artists and a couple of things about them. Now, um, the first video is from Lydia, Lydia Ofimia Teresia, who is a part of House of Gucci in Finland. And she also performs with Amanda. So this is like Amanda and Lydia official. You can find them on Instagram. That's actually one of the best places you can find them. I'm just giving a little bit of a bio there and some links that you can then go and check out after the video. Now, the other thing about the playback of the videos is that luckily most of you all have your video off, because I think you're just tuning in to see what's going on. But the video playback will work way better, reasons I don't understand, when everybody has their video turned off. So what we'll do at the beginning of every clip is I'll introduce the clip, then I'll tell everybody to turn their videos off, and then when we come back, we can turn them back on again. Is that okay? Everyone good? All right, lovely. In that case, I am going to stop my own video and get ready to share a screen. Here we go.
I've seen the world, done it all, had my cake now. Diamonds brilliant and brilliant now. Hot summer nights, mid-July, when you and I were forever wild. The crazy days, city lights, the way you'd play with me like a child. Will you still love me when I'm no longer young and beautiful? Will you still love me when I got nothing but my aching soul? I know you will, I know you will, I know that you will. Will you still love me when I'm no longer beautiful? I've seen the world, lit it up as my stage now. Channeling angels in the new age now. Hot summer days, rock and roll, the way you play for me at your show, and all the ways I got to know your pretty face and electric soul. Will you still love me when I'm no longer young and beautiful? Will you still love me when I got nothing but my aching soul? I know you will, I know you will, I know that you will. Will you still love me when I'm no longer beautiful? Dear Lord, when I get to heaven, please let me bring my man. When he comes, tell me that you'll let him in. Father, tell me if you can. All that grace, all that body, all that face makes me wanna party. He's my sun, he makes me shine like diamonds. Will you still love me when I'm no longer young and beautiful? Will you still love me when I got nothing but my aching soul? I know you will, I know you will, I know that you will. Will you still love me when I'm no longer beautiful? Will you still love me when I'm no longer beautiful? Will you still love me when I'm not young and beautiful?
Oh, and we're back. Oh, that was absolutely lovely. All right, who else is back? Yeah, we got some applause. Absolutely. If you feel like unmuting just to say woo, please do, because it's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
Whoa!
Oh, that was
Oh,
okay. My flat looks like that, but her plants are better. Honestly, it's like I have such plant envy, not to mention booty envy. Lydia is absolutely wonderful, also a voguing artist and a drag. Well, used to do drag artist, now is more in voguing. And I think the first time I saw uh, Lydia and Amanda was probably at a Drag Me to Hell event. They did this number that it was actually kind of a weird thing because uh, we don't have an awful lot of um, voguing in Finland, there is quite a lot, and is kind of becoming more of it, but also in like things like the drag scene and the voguing scene, where um, that was like they were a little bit more separate than they would be now. And it's also, I think that also does have to do um, something with, you know, where those art forms come from, and the sense of like ownership of those art forms too, which also has you know a lot to do with racialization, and the genealogy of just where that comes from. Does it come from you know, is it artwork of people of color? And what was kind of remarkable about that performance is, so as a lot of the audience, a lot of like the Drag Me to Hell audience had really never quite seen voguing before, or we hadn't been able to see it live, because it was something that was always like you would see it in videos online from New York or from Paris, but you wouldn't see it necessarily in Helsinki. So they get up and they do this dance number that's absolutely crazy, and they're just death dropping everywhere, and the crowd went completely wild. And it was sort of funny because you had, from RuPaul's Drag Race, you had Trixie Mattel headlining that show, and I think almost everybody loved Amanda and Lydia a tiny bit more than Trixie Mattel, and I think this really like made Trixie Mattel kind of mad. But I mean, you know, if that's life goals, if that's what you can do with your performances, then I think you're doing pretty well. All right. And again, what's sort of spontaneously happening here is this ends up being kind of a bit of a broadcast, where I'm introducing the shows and most everybody else is listening. But as I say, at any time, if there's something you want to comment on, or something you want to talk about and say hello to everybody about, please just, you know, you can unmute and you can jump in. And this isn't like me on a big stage somewhere. So, you know, you can feel free to interrupt, and I won't make it weird, I promise. Let's see. And in fact, I'm just going to take a tiny second to set up our next number. Yeah, I know. Yaak was like, it is weird, even if you don't make it so. I know, it's very, very strange to be in this position, but that's okay. I'm kind of okay with listening to. Yes, Yako says I'm doing a good job talking into a void, and I have to say that's definitely what it feels back. But I can sort of sense the love going on out there, mostly because you haven't left. As long as you stay there, I assume that either you're too lazy to hit a button, or you're still with me. So that's all good. Yeah, yay! Hello, everybody. So something actually I wanted to the next number is actually, speaking of Drag Me to Hell. I'm gonna have to, when I bring up our next performer, I think everybody knows in Helsinki the fantastic work of Lola Vanilla. I think Lola's actually watching around, so feel free to say hello, or to just hide under the cover of darkness if you like. And I just put a link in the chat to Lola's Instagram. Lola, so Yari performs as Lola Vanilla, as a drag act, and then Bent Vanderbleu is Boylesque. These are both distinct and absolutely fabulous acts. And Lola, together with Lamy Crackhouse, started Drag Me to Hell. Like Yari, I'm probably gonna mess this up, but I think it's like, oh, how much has it been? Like a decade that already that's been running, or doing activities. But they do shows that are. I mean, first off, they've been responsible for bringing big name drag outs from outside of Finland into the scene here. To try and get some momentum with the audiences, because what happens is that people watch 10 years, woo, 10 years of Drag Me to Hell, fantastic. And people watch RuPaul's Drag Race on TV, and then they like, if it's not a Ru girl, then they're not interested, like somebody who is oh gosh, who's the one who does the comedy as well? It'll come to me in a second. I'm gonna get killed now because I've forgotten. She's been doing a number of shows in Helsinki, and it'll be like Finlandia Talo or something like that. Bianca Del Rey, right? So Bianca Del Rey comes to Finlandia Talo and sells it out. And of course, these acts are top shelf, but it's amazing the kind of separation between the American and televised drag artists. There's only a handful of them, really, and then the tens and hundreds of local acts who, to get the people to build a fan base that is local is a totally different thing from building a fan base that is based on an American TV show, because people just if they see the TV show, they just they think they know the names, they think they know its quality, and they go. It's kind of like it's like comedy with Sami Hedberg. It's the same kind of thing. But anyway, with Lamy Crackhouse and Lola Vanilla, they've been building this local drag fan base for a decade, and they've been also training up the younger drag artists. There is the House of Vanilla and the House of Crack, which I think are both very appropriate. Basically people who do fantastic work in the scene, also for thinking locally and trying to also push the envelope to make the quality up there for the international level. So stuff that I'm really, really keen on as well. Anyway, our next performance is from Lola Vanilla, who is going to do a number to, I believe that it's a Mama by My Chemical Romance. And I think it captures the essence of self-isolation quite a lot. Our last video clearly was not self-isolating because she had a really good camera operator. But this one, we're talking about being just trapped in on your own. So again, I'm going to stop my video and then going to get the thing started. Here we go.
Mama, we all go to hell. Mama, we all go to hell. I'm writing this letter and wishing you well. Mama, we all go to hell. Oh, well, now, Mama, we're all gonna die. Mama, we're all gonna die. Stop asking me questions. I'd hate to see you cry. Mama, we're all gonna die. Hey, when we go, don't blame us. we're all full of lies. Mama, we're meant for the flies. And right now they're building a coffin your size. Mama, we're all full of lies. Well, mother was walked into my legs and to my tongue. You should have raised the baby girl. I should have been a better son. If you could cuddle the infection, they can amputate it once. You should have been, I could have been a better son. And when we go to neighborhoods, yeah, we let the fire just feed us. Yeah, you made us so famous. We'll never let you go. She said you ain't no son of mine for what you done there. Get a fire, a place for you and just your mind, your manners when you go. And when you go to return to me, my love, that's right. Mama, we are gonna hell. Mama, we are gonna hell. It's really quite pleasant, except for the smell. Mama, we are gonna
And if you would call me your sweetheart, I'd maybe then sing you a song.
But the shit that I've done with this fuck of a gun, you would cry out to rise alone. Fortunate brave we fall. And if you could stay, then I'll show you the way to return from the ashes you brought. We all carry on when our brothers in arms are brothers. So raise your glass high for tomorrow. We gotta return from the ashes you brought.
Lola Vanilla. Yay! there are claps from out in space somewhere. Woohoo! Yeah, in space, nobody can hear you applaud. Great, awesome, lovely. We absolutely love Lola. Yeah, absolutely amazing. What was I going to say? Oh, there was something else I was thinking. Nope, it's gone. I'm going to have to say something else in a bit. We have a few performances still to go. One thing that I thought was kind of sort of interesting is actually when Paola suggested that like I curate an evening, and the reason why like I got presumably asked to curate an evening was that that it was meant to have like an LGBTQ focus, which is pretty much up my strasse. You know, like as gay and trans, like I can claim a bunch of those letters and also do this kind of work. But it was also kind of it threw me into kind of like a fit to have it also be about as part of the week against racism. I was kind of like, I literally don't think I can curate anything like this, which is kind of a ridiculous thought. But also, it just speaks about the uh, there's a real kind of difficulty in um, trying to think about uh, how do you set up something so that you can talk about a difficult issue, or if you can that you can talk about something where you yourself don't have as it were ownership of the experiences, and that you yourself don't actually run into them on a day-to-day basis. uh, and that kind of threw me for a loop. But then something that I then try to think about with the work, and one reason why I would say this is because like not everybody in the not everybody uh, in the performances, of course, is somebody who is um, originally from outside of Finland, and not everybody, because that's part of like the Katalisti sort of uh, supporting artists who are working transculturally in a way that they are either from outside of Finland or they have ties to outside of Finland, uh, but that they are working and are familiar with the work that is cross-cultural in this way. And not everybody who's on the roster is a person of color and an artist of color. And I often like think about how to work with that. But it's something, if I think about uh, in my own life a topic like racialization and racism, especially as it occurs in my context of living in Finland here as a white person. Uh, it occurs to me that that the white people should be doing the majority of the heavy lifting work to fight racism. Like there's a difference between you know doing work and having ownership of the experience and being able to speak to that experience. So the question is like, how do you make space where others uh, can can then claim it and do what they want with it? Because like racism is a white people problem for me. It's not the problem. uh, it wasn't made a problem by people of color. White people made it a problem, and I think white people are the ones who should be doing the majority of the work towards a solution. That's the same way I feel um, about homophobia and about transphobia, for that matter, is that homophobia is generally not a problem caused by queer people or gay people. It tends to be a problem caused by people who are not gay, and they're the ones who actually have to do the work to fix it. I'm led by the insight and experiences and uh, and expertise, as it were, the lived experience of people who actually do suffer from it. But I really don't think the minority should be doing all of the work in this. So I think it's really important when people um, who are not racialized visibly take a stand against it. And even when they don't seem to have anything invested in it, uh, I think that's kind of the way that we should be trying to work if we're part of the majority in that sense, which I think a lot of people in this room are. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Uh, Perhaps you agree with it, perhaps you don't. But
Can I
yeah,
say? Can we
yeah,
say something? Yeah.
yeah, sure,
You
go
know,
ahead.
yeah. I just heard the tail end. We worked in Finland. We're in Los Angeles actually. Hello, Paula and everybody. Um,
Hi,
the one.
Michael. Welcome.
Hey, hi. How are you guys? About racism and about we've worked in so many different population, whether it be in the prisons, jails, homeless, autistic, LGBTQ, transgender, you name it. And one of the things we discovered actually is that racism, why, like, we agree, obviously, it's the structural is a lot of it has to do with, skin color, etc. but in all communities there's racism. So I'll give you an example. Transgender, in the gay community, there's a lot of phobia against transgender people. That's why in America, if you're a African American transgender man, you're about 90% likely to be incarcerated at some point. There's no housing for people who are transgendered, but there is housing, a lot more housing for people that are LGBT, gay and queer. In the Black community, there's a lot of racism if you're a middle class Black person as opposed to somebody who's a poor Black person. Just like in the white community, there's a lot of racism against poor whites. So I, you know, I think if you're going to really talk about racism, we have to look at it as a something that's in all of us, because why the white people have obviously more power. Racism, homophobia, all those things are in all communities, all people, and I think that's one of our big takeaways, having worked with so many different types of marginalized communities for the last 7 years. That's all I wanted to say.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, it's a multi-layered, and also that's like stuff like if you remember, there was a wild conversation that happened like a year back or so, that the artist Cardi B had some lyrics that were, or it was either lyrics or a tweet, like it's the same these days, that were quite transphobic. And there was a really, from my point of view, as a kind of not so invested in that conversation myself exactly, then there was a really interesting conversation where, okay, there's a bunch of people would say like, look, you shouldn't say that, that's transphobic and it's trash. And then a lot of other people coming and saying, yeah, but you're from a middle class white background, and she's coming from a totally different place, and the language that she's using is completely different. And eventually, she kind of ended up rethinking her position on that, and was really cool about that. But what was the point was that the conversation wherein, like, the intersections and the friction in the intersections is really, it's interesting to pay attention to. But anyway, I think I'd like to move on to the next piece, which I'll just grab the bit of information that I have. Now, our next one is someone who isn't, he's not like super on Instagram kind of thing, but you will find a wonderful documentary about him called Bahir of Finland. And if you're in Finland, it is still on Yle Areena. So you can just go to DocStop and you can watch it. It's like a 27-minute documentary from 2018, I believe. And it documents the story of Bahir, his experience coming here as a gay asylum seeker to Finland, and the process where he was asked to prove his homosexuality by the authorities here in order to somehow justify his claim for asylum in Finland. So it's a really it's a really well made DocStop documentary, and the link I just put in the chat there, so you can find it on Yle Areena. And where I've seen, okay, the first place that I saw Bahir was in DTM. Like, absolutely, he's always he has this like sailor hat that he wears a lot when he's out at the bars, and he would, like, if there's anybody who kind of should be in the cage up at DTM, if there's anybody who should be in that cage, it's definitely, shaking his butt, it's definitely Bahir. He does an amazing job. He's a beautiful dancer, and he also does this kind of concept where he does he does belly dance, but he does belly dance in a way that is, it embodies this heavily masculine uh, uh, energy, as well as the kind of the more feminized form of belly dancing and the trappings of that. So what I have from him is just a short video, a few minutes, and it kind of cuts out right in the middle of the thing. It's very homemade. It's amazing, um, where it's just Bahir at home practicing his belly dancing, and I am bigly into it. I've seen him perform that act live in a kind of like a more like art-based context, and it it's extraordinary because it just presents an image that is it it's this image that he really owns, and it's somehow something that makes a lot of sense when you see it. I really like it. But anyway, I'm gonna stop my video and go for this next one. Here we go. Yes.
Yay!
Oh, yes. And that just ends in the middle of it. Like I'm just getting into the shaking, and then it's so good. Ah, it's such a I love it. I absolutely love it. But yeah, um, I don't know when uh, he might be performing. I know that's an act that he does. Because he's a dancer, so that's what he kind of he works with. He knows how to do. Um, I don't know the next time he's going to be performing that. and it's you just kind of have to be in the know because he's not very much on. He's not hugely on Insta. I think you probably just have to go to DTM and say where are you performing next, because he's at DTM when the music is on. He's definitely there. Brilliant, brilliant. And I'm gonna do watch the documentary. It's also super important. There's a link to it in the chat. And let's see, I'm gonna move. Instead of having a longer chat this time, I'm gonna also introduce our next act. So the next act I'm gonna do is Drag King act is Justice Brown. Justice Brown is the drag name of Carolyn Swyner, and she is first off, I mean, she's an absolute force. First off, she is art director and co-founder of Ruske Tutet Media, who are a organization providing media and content and writing and thinking that is coming from the person, women of color perspective in Finland. Something I think that was founded in, I want to say 2015. I might be a little off with that, but it hasn't been super long. But they have already been hugely important and hugely influential, just in the sense that they made something that was really missing in the scene, and that we had space for. And that's something that she's also doing. She's also doing other kinds of visual arts, but she collaborates in a group called Pehme, which means soft. So, and they have a podcast that is in Finnish. It centers black fat femme bodies, but it's a podcast that's in Finnish. The link is there to the SoundCloud. But the first time that I knew about Ruske Tytöt, their work, but I didn't know it very well because I don't read Finnish very quickly, which means I tend not to read so much Finnish, like as a kind of I have to really like sit down and make myself read something. So I wasn't that familiar with the super content of their work. And then at one of the punch-up shows, we had Justice Brown performing a Drag King act, and the Justice Brown's energy is so sexy. I feel like everybody in like he just gets up on stage, he starts moving and shaking and making eye contact with people, and I swear I could just feel like the first 6 rows kind of start squirming in their seats. Really intense, wonderful energy, and I love like for me this is like it's always kind of a tricky thing, but for me as a trans guy who performs a particular kind of masculinity in my everyday, when I see Drag King, I love that people are doing Drag King, but if that Drag King act has this really kind of bold spark of masculinity that feels to me like something that is very deep and recognizable, then that act is amazing, and I will love it forever. So that's kind of one reason to be into Carolyn Swyner's work, and you can check them out also on Insta. But I'm going to set up the video now. Where am I? Yes, this is an absolutely lovely act. And again, I'll cut out my video, and here we go with Justice Brown.
I watch that motherfucker every Sunday in holy water. My Jesus peace clean, even my shoes are Christians, I'm walking on holy water. She came out in true religion jeans and fell straight to her knees like she was dipped in holy water. Holy water. Holy water.
In 2010, 6 black teenagers drowned in the Louisiana Red River. Researchers found that 70% of black people do not know how to swim, that black kids are 3 times more likely to drown. The question became, why do blacks possess the fear of water? I've heard sharks followed slave ships crossing the Atlantic Ocean, trailing black bodies thrown overboard. I heard during slave time, white masters refused to let blacks learn them to swim because a swimming slave could get away, could swim to freedom, could figure out a way to wade in the water.
Here's my last one. My last one. Carl, you gotta give me that term again. Spontaneous combustion, right. And what happens is,
when a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. You don't wanna do nothing with your life. When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. You don't wanna do nothing with your life. When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. You don't wanna do nothing with your life. When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. You don't wanna do nothing with their life. When a fire starts to When a fire starts to When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. You don't wanna do nothing with your life. When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. You don't wanna do nothing with your life. When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. You don't wanna do nothing with your life. When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. You don't wanna do nothing with your life. When a fire starts to When a fire starts to When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. You don't wanna do nothing with your life. When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. You don't wanna do nothing with your life. When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. You don't wanna do nothing with your life. When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. You don't wanna do nothing with your life. When a fire starts
the spirit is alive in the building. We are saving lives. Call the 1-800 number. We see you, sinner. You need to be saved. We're here saving people. Come on down now. The fire starts to burn.
When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. Who don't wanna do nothing with their life? When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. Who don't wanna do nothing with their life? When a fire starts to and it's when a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. You don't wanna do nothing with your life. When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she gonna bring that attitude home. You don't wanna do nothing with your life. When a fire starts to And it's and it's
Yes.
Yay! Woo, woo,
Nice. I love that floating head. So intense. So that could be. I guess the also the advantage of having the lights on and having everything else is that nobody can tell what your house actually looks like, which has been a departure from some of the other videos. I can't help it. I start watching a few of these and then I start just sort of like sort of analyzing what might be kind of common threads and what might be going through a lot of them. It's super interesting. I really like how uh, it's so clear that a lot of it's interesting how much of like queer cultural production is centered on nightclub and centered on that that space, maybe partially because I'm sure this has been written about to death, but maybe partially because that some of the nightclubs are delineated specifically as queer, so that you can kind of create for that space that already exists. And maybe then also because not having having difficulty to package something that would be for the mainstream consumption that is about queerness and that centers queerness, and so you don't have necessarily as much access to the more mainstream venues and the mainstream spaces and the kind of the art machinery there, so that the nightclubs in a sense are kind of like a found space where you can invent that is also then influenced by what that space is originally for, the music and the dancing and the bodies and being visible in this kind of way. Yeah, I'm really into. If you get a chance to see Behme, listen to the podcast. If you have a chance to also see Justice Brown perform live, I highly recommend it. It's just super energy and really, really big. And I think we actually just have 2 more performances, which is kind of wild. I can't believe this has gone on this long already. It's kind of I know we have about until another half hour or so. So if people want to hang and chat, that's like totally fine by me afterwards and stuff. But it's not sort of my feeling that I will just stay around and fill up dead air. But I could talk a little bit about our next performer, who is. So I first met Nihke Akka, which translates to grumpy bitch. I first met her in Bar Base, which is downtown. And in Bar Base on Tuesdays, a couple of years back at least, we had in stand-up comedy, there was like a monthly open mic on a Tuesday. So you can imagine like what kind of environment that was right in the back room. And she had just, so she's originally from Finland, and she's been living in the UK for a long time, has a British partner, and had just come back to Finland after having not, and just wondering like, where the heck can I perform here? And so I met her at this open mic for a comedy night, and I was kind of expecting more of like a sort of stand-up comedy kind of deal, and it was like that, but it was it was a little bit more like interactive and a little bit more strange than because it was this really great set where she told the story of it was around Christmas time, and I don't know if you know there's this Christmas carol or Christmas song that is played a lot more in Britain. I think it's here too. It's "Walking in the Air," right? And it comes from like there's an animated film that goes with where there's this snowman and the snowman has like a particular scarf on and I think a jacket or a hat or something. I don't know. The snowman is wearing very particular kind of very British looking things. And Nika got up and told the story about how she had like these amazing feelings for this snowman in this animated cartoon when she was very young, and got an audience member to come up and play the role of the snowman and like put some the scarf on him and put some and then had all this like fake snow that she managed to throw from the sky and the song was playing and she was anyway, it was this bizarre kind of childhood fantasy come to life on a comedy stage, and I think half of the audience were sort of like, this is interesting, and I was like, this is fantastic, thank God. Thank God somebody has come to put some real absolutely wacky stuff on our stages. But then I found out, of course, that she is not like what you would kind of call like a straight up stand-up comedian. Like many of us stand-up comedians, we have side hustles and side interests, but her main deal is spoken word poetry. And in fact, she is the Poetry Slam champion of Finland for 2018, and for the whole Nordics 2019, she won that. She is the co-founder of Besa Publishing. Besa Publishing is a small publishing house that's focused on Finnish poetry. And she's also the vice chair of Helsinki Poetry Connection. And they're the ones who do, I would say, like the majority of the spoken word live events that are going to be in around Helsinki at least. And I really enjoyed getting to know her and getting to hear her perform and to hear the way that she brought poetry, stand-up, like spoken word poetry, to stages that had stuff like drag and comedy on them. Because, in these sort of less professionalized art forms that we have, such as drag and burlesque and stand-up comedy to some extent and spoken word poetry, and we can also move on to like participatory arts and stuff like that. That a lot of these things that come from the bars and they stay in the bars, they often don't necessarily, the audiences like one, but they don't like the other. And I was like somebody who absolutely hated spoken word poetry. I don't know what it was. It was something about like the way that emotions are presented in spoken word. I used to make fun of it a lot. And then I have heard so many good, really inspiring and amazing spoken word artists in Helsinki. I can't make fun of it anymore because they're really, I don't know, they float my boat. What can I say? But yeah, I asked Nika Akka to come up with something for this evening, and she did so without any further ado. I keep doing this without any further ado, but actually I do have a bit of ado. There we go. To share my screen. I will stop my video, and here we go. This is Nika Akka with Good Immigrant.
I'm a good immigrant. I learned the accent, I swallowed my rolling I swallowed my I swallowed my rolling R's, calling them pubs, not bars. Those places we drink on a brink of small talk turning into fist fights. I stopped wearing dresses with tights. I got myself a ginger boyfriend from Cambridge whose parents host garden parties and read The Guardian. The Guardian, I am a good immigrant. I tried Pims and Marmite and crumpets and stout. I was always polite, never to shout, not even at the TV filled with MPs, with the stars of the EU flag in their eyes. Lies, 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 lies. Lies disguised as a nice cup of tea I meant to have every time I feel feelings. Feel like a person and not a bargaining chip, hip hip hooray. Sorry, I got a bit carried away. I thought I saw the Queen. I am a good immigrant. I kept calm and I carried on. Even with dog shit thrown onto my lawn, I thought, well, at least I'm white, because that makes my future so bearable and bright. I watched the Grenfell Tower burn like a black candle of ignorance is bliss, and I said nothing. Instead, I switched the channel and watched every single episode of Doctor Who. And I learned that the corner shop keeper who calls me Love, you're right, love, he has no actual feelings for me. I am a good immigrant. Shitting bricks to build houses, to solve your housing crisis, sitting your babies with one hand and reaching my dreams with the other. I can't just go back to my mother and leave what I've planted behind. This is an Arctic pine rooted on your soil, growing from your weird, wonderful waste, but now frozen, unwanted, in mid-air. And granted, no one said this should be fair. But I'm a good immigrant. We're human beings. I don't think you want us to turn bad. Thank you. My name is Grumpy Bitch. Have a good night.
I relate to that, except that I'm not a good immigrant. I haven't learned crap. I'm still performing in English. Awful. I also love the hello hello at the end, because that is very much part of the sending a video format of these days. Super. I absolutely love that one. I wonder, I don't know, I realized that I should check out if that video is or if that particular poem is available on YouTube somewhere. I know that she does have some stuff on YouTube, and also I don't know, that one we don't have, that video we don't have any DRM questions about, because there's no recognizable background music. So we may be able to convince her to put that one out somewhere too, and we can all enjoy it, because it's I like that poem an awful lot. It has a lot of it has it. There's an awful lot of difficulty, like the real time difficulty of immigrating is kind of quietly put in. It's so much shorter when you put it in a line of poetry, but kind of the long-term sense of being an outsider or a half outsider the long-term sense of being changed forever by living in a different place. Those always have like, you know, people move because there are great advantages to it as well, and you can easily capitalize on your difference in order to make it where you are. But also the, the cost is very strange because it never, you can, once you've made the decision, you can never kind of reclaim it. You can't really take it back. It's there forever. That was an odd note to go. I suppose, yeah, sometimes places just, sometimes things just go there. Let's see. And that's actually one thing, like, not to kind of like toot the horn. Well, why not toot the horn of organizations like Catalysti? I know I've been, I think joined up the organization something like 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. Just so excited there was a place. Even, you know, it's incredibly important if you're working in a different language or if you're working in a different context, is to have somebody to network with, and just to know when things are going on, or when you need to do things, or when you need to apply for things and that. And so they do a really good job also of collating the open calls for artists and curators, and also for grant deadlines. And it's super important work to be able to kind of do a lot of this kind of cross-cultural work. Paula, are you unmuting to come and say something?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for saying that. Yeah, that's true that, well, we hope that what we do is meaningful. And then, yes, and thanks for accepting these to host this evening and collecting this very interesting program, really. And as you said, it's not such an easy task because, of course, talking about racism or about how sectors of society maybe feel that kind of exclusion, or which walls are there. And another network we are in now, it is, and Michael is part of that, or initiated that, is this No Labels, No Walls. So maybe, I don't know if in the course of the evening you want to comment on that. And I think also personal experience, in a way, it is valuable. And thanks for us for opening this window on these realities that maybe we don't see every day.
Yeah, I think that something that's very you get really used to really quickly, or at least I did, you know, like when I moved to a different place, was how much the nepotism and the connections really affect everything. So that you can, if you didn't grow up getting to know people, you just don't have a way in so many times. And I think that kind of works in a lot of different contexts, where if you don't have somebody to introduce you, if you don't have somebody to guide you, to take you in, then you can enter as, you know, some kind of a, whether it's a country or whether it's like a space, and feeling like you don't have the ability to take part, or you don't even know where to start. And that's why, you know, a lot of the hand holding is actually just, you know, kind of a lifesaver. I have there's one more video to show. I'll just get my links for the artist.
James, can I say something about integration real quick?
If you'd like to.
Yeah, you know, going to Finland, you know, even coming from the outside in Los Angeles, you know, and having, you know, some reasonably success as an organization, it was difficult, like you're saying, because of who you know, like it's very much a familial kind of society. But I think, like, for everybody on the call or on this, watching these videos, there's a real opportunity now, because I think this kind of thing about being all this in together, that we're not separate, that what affects you affects me, and we're all interconnected, has a lot more play now than I think it ever had. So I think one of the things, that I think as artists, what we can all do is start kind of branching out to people that are artists and society audiences that perhaps maybe never would see our work or partake in a collaboration, and start reaching out to those people, because I think the easiest way to get equality is integration, real integration, because then nobody knows who somebody is or what their background is, because they're just looking at the art itself. And I think it's a real opportunity now, because I think people are kind of yearning for this kind of connection and this kind of one world kind of a mantra, and I think so. I think it's an opportunity to get that integration that I think we're all kind of looking for. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to, I'm hoping that the isolation won't make me more socially isolated, in not in like just my friends way, but just in the sense of like the people that I didn't tend to meet so much, I meet them even less now, right? So if it was like I might have run into somebody who was from a different walk of life for me at the bar, now I'm not at the bar, so I don't see them, and I'm never on a video call with them because I don't know them. So I'm interested also in the questions of how do we even in this online kind of way keep ourselves from having our access to other people and to different kinds of people from ourselves, having that shrink, because I think that definitely is something that can happen to people. But the last video I'm going to show now is by Amanda, so the other half of Amanda and Lydia. And actually, I saw them. I also saw them in Copenhagen a few years back when I was at a festival, and they had a wonderful, amazing piece that was it was lip sync, like we frequently have in drag, and a lot of drag nowadays. There's people who work on this thing where they'll. Okay, of course, drag is singing a lot or lip syncing to music, but there's an awful lot of lip syncing just to text or just to spoken lines. And I don't know if this is partially because of like television and movie pop culture just seeping into drag, so that it's not just about singing a song that sets a feeling, but also reciting a scene from something that can set a feeling. And they did this amazing, crazy lip sync to like an entire mixed up scene of a Jerry Springer show from the 90s. Like it was completely recognizable to me because I used to watch the Jerry Springer show back home. And it was absolutely wild. These two trans femme performers in these like very crazy outfits, just with the throwing chairs and everything, and everything. Oh, it was amazing. If we get a chance to see that act, I also highly recommend. But Amanda has done what I think is an absolutely gorgeous lip sync from the depths of quarantine, and I'll just set it up now. Here we go.
So you left me on my own to complete the mission. Now I'm leaving it all behind. I'm going hunting. I'm the hunter. I'm the hunter. I'm going hunting. I'm the hunter. I'm the hunter. I'm the hunter. I'm the hunter.
Yay!
Wow, that was the best.
I love that one. Yeah. When the
Amazing.
when the water splashes on the camera, on the camera lens, it's just I like that moment. Can I just be like that? Really amazing. Um, yeah, that's. So Amanda is also, as I said before, part of the House of Gucci, Finland. So that's a voguing. Uh, I mean, House of Gucci is everywhere, and then the chapter that's in Finland is a few other artists as well, and so they're doing voguing. They're often also doing shows and performances. I've seen them like in like more theatrical stages, but also like in clubs. And then you can also take courses. There's lots of people teaching voguing and whacking here also in Helsinki. You can you can just if any of these kinds of forms interest you, the most kind of amazing thing is that you can the bar to picking them up and the bar to kind of getting into them is very low. People are constantly doing workshops and courses that are not terribly they're quite accessible, and because people in the underground scenes, we really enjoy competition in a sense, not like fighting over resources competition, but we really enjoy the having people to push the envelope, come up with new ideas, make us step up our game a little bit more. And also, when you have more people in your scene, you don't have to carry so much of the burden of creating for everybody like you. That's one thing I found. Like as far as I know, I was the only transgender stand-up comedian in Finland for a while, and it got complicated many times because I would say things that wouldn't necessarily represent everybody, and then I would get flack for that because I was the only one kind of there to do the representing. And then found a bunch more people who were interested in trying it out as the form. And now I've been at a show that's like 7 comedians and we're all trans, and that's amazing. Actually, I don't think that we have that in too many other cities that I've been to when I travel and go to do comedy shows. I feel like the Helsinki scene has an awful lot of queer in it, but I've noticed as well that a lot of spoken word, a lot of voguing, a lot of burlesque, a lot of draglesque, queerlesque, stand up. A lot of these art forms are cross pollinating a lot in Helsinki. Uh, there's people are branching out, interested in other directions, and so you get people from one scene knowing another scene. There's a lot of nights where you combine a lot of artworks or a lot of different art forms, and I like the way it kind of comes together. I feel like at least in the city we do have a queer cultural scene that has its own kind of voice and has its own kind of look and has its own kind of diversity as well. And actually, looking at the time, it is time, just about time to wrap up this show. I have This has been wild. I have been so proud of all of the work that was shown tonight. I just when I said, look, can we take it online? Can you send me a video? And people just pour it out with this stuff. I was like, this is really it made me kind of just super happy and grateful to see that the way that people were able to make their live act transform it and have nods to the live act and to maintain what it is that at the core of their work that keeps that makes it what it is, and then also just to kind of shove it in a corner of a room and do it for nobody. And it has a real there's a kind of a moment at play that made me really happy, and I really enjoyed being able to bring to everybody here. So I hope you have super enjoyed this as much as I have. We got maybe 2 more minutes if you want to join in and just say thank you or bye or anything like that. You can be in the chat, and you can also just turn off your mic and go like woo.
Yes, thank you. No, and thank you for these words, and also yes, for pointing out what you were just saying, that this is this scene is also a diversity of art forms, not only of or diversity of orientation maybe, and that's very interesting. For us too, it's important to support that and to see this theme of diversity that it is in our program, in this 2 years program, like the diversity in art in diversity, and yes, to see also this new art forms are out there, and and let's see what happens to hopefully very soon we'll be back in these venues that you were saying about, in the bars, in all these, but that's true, we don't know when. This is also very strange times, and this is an alternative way to meet the people, and yes, at least give us a little bit of hope, and
And also, I would say that if it feels kind of funny to just pipe up now, we're going to end the meeting pretty soon, in a couple of minutes. But if you do want to give any feedback, or you just want to say hello to people, please just comment in the Facebook event. That's an easy way you can do that in text, and just say hi. And also, if you are thinking of if you're thinking of putting something together yourself, if you're kind of inspired by this, or if you want to know more, or just to try something, and then and then set up something for other people, then put a link in the event and let people know that it's going on. But other than that, that's pretty much it for me. Thank you everybody for being here.
Thank you everybody. No, I wanted also to remind if you wish, I don't know, to continue the discussion somehow, or if you wish to write something, because we opened in this new, like in the website, Catalyst, like a blog. And so we'd be really very happy to get your comments and text, and if you feel like, yes, continuing this. Yeah, there.
Thank you. Okay, well, that's about it for me then. But I hope you all have an absolutely lovely Easter wherever you are, whether you are stuck at home all by yourself or whether you're with some family or chosen family. However it is you are spending your time, I hope you have a good weekend. I hope you are safe and healthy and well. And please keep creating, because that's what we love. So, ciao, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, James. Thanks a lot.
Thank you a lot. Yes.
Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun. Ciao,
Yeah.
ciao, ciao.
Thanks. Ciao.